Thank you for joining another wonderful episode of Success Innovation. Today's episode, be yourself, always. Welcome back to another wonderful episode of Success Innovation. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today I have a special guest and his name is Samuel Hernandez Meza. He is working as a human resource individual and at the Center for Sustainability of Energy. He is also a big brother, mentor, and as well as a Rotary Club in East Lake of Chula Vista. So welcome. Hey, how's it going, Sam? How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you so much for being here with me today. So could you please tell me a little bit about your background and who you are, where you kind of grew up, and how you got involved in all this wonderful stuff?
Yes. I was born and raised in Tijuana.
Okay.
I came to the United States, to San Diego with my family in 1997. Soon after I finished junior high, to go to high school here in the States. Okay. My first school that I went was San Diego High. And when my parents and my two brothers and myself moved to San Diego, we had family connections here, but we didn't know anyone in the community. So we had to start our lives here pretty much by ourselves, without
any other family members?
With some family members, but without any other
friends,
acquaintances or friends in the community. So we started it from zero. I went to San Diego High by myself as a sophomore, and I started my studies there.
So at that time you were about what, 15 years old. Did
15.
You already know English?
No.
Okay.
Actually, English is my second language.
Okay.
So I started learning the language a year or two before coming to the States. Okay. But the way in which was done was through private instructor.
Private lessons?
Private lessons.
Okay.
And the class was really basic, to be quite honest. When I moved over here, I realized that I was not fluent, that I was not able to hold a conversation or read a book. So it was really basic skills that I had. However, I did have a good foundation in my Spanish language, as well as education. I had really good grades in school. Okay. So through that, I was able to quickly learn the language within a year.
A year. Actually. Okay, yes. That's pretty good. That's awesome.
When I joined or started San Diego High, I started a program which back then was called ESL. Okay. Or it was English.
English as a second language?
As a language,
right?
Yes,
correct.
as a sophomore.
Right.
And then on my junior year, I was a transfer, or instead of, I did ESL 1 and 2 as a freshman. Okay. And then on my junior year, instead of going through ESL 2, 3, and 4, my teachers moved me up to a program called Shelter, which is the regular, or was, maybe it's different now, the regular curriculum, but with additional support for students that were learning the language.
To help you cope with the different language issues.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that was during my junior year. And when I was a senior, I was already taking the regular classes with native speakers.
Okay, so you became proficient in English, and then you were transferred over to a regular program, more or less, without the support necessarily.
Within 3 years.
So did you went to a university here in San Diego?
Yes, at least in my case, my education was not in the traditional way. Okay. I went to high school. I completed high school. After completing high school, I actually had a counselor who advised me to go to a junior college, to a community college.
Okay.
Yes, and I was a little
Why did they advise you to go directly to a community college besides seeking a four-year university, which is more or less what most counselors would suggest.
Right. In this, well, I think it was a joint decision, and some counselors or teachers will say that I should apply to a university and transfer. Others said that I should just try to go to community college and then transfer.
Okay.
So I was not at that time so informed about what to do. So I went to a community college, to San Diego City College.
Okay. Right next door to the Cavers, to San Diego.
To San Diego High School.
San Diego
Yes,
High, right?
Cavers.
Yeah. Right.
I did some classes there, but I didn't really have the guidance to know which program to do or what classes to take. So I ended up not completing a degree there, and I focused on work. So I was working full time. This was in my early 20s. So, but for me, I was already old, but I wasn't really that old.
Okay. In your mind,
in my mind, I was.
You were older.
Yes. Right? So I went and worked full time, and I by accident, when I was at City College, I was also doing an internship through at Caltrans, a paid internship, as a training in their training department, and that was my first experience working in a professional setting per se, and also in.
So you were doing training for Caltrans?
I was.
So you were part of the training department. Within Caltrans.
Yes.
So you were kind of going towards the path of human resources.
Correct.
But in the training aspect.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So that was my first professional job, which was a paid internship in training in the training department of Caltrans, which was also part of HR. Right. After that internship completed, I took a job as an HR assistant. That was my first official job, and at that time I had only some college and the experience at Caltrans, and that was just my first job. Soon after I completed that, not completed the job, but after a year working there, I realized that I wanted to do something else within the field.
Within the field of human resources?
Yes.
Okay. That is, by the way, what you call it, human resources,
yes.
Or is there?
Human resources,
HR,
talent management.
Okay, talent acquisition or something.
Talent management or human resources is the term. So I applied for another job in the hospitality industry, but also in HR as an HR assistant as well, and that was in Old Town, a company with a chain of restaurants and retail stores.
Okay.
That was in 2005.
So you started following in that path of human resources in that talent profession.
Yes.
Okay.
So I took that job. I accepted the offer. I started there, and when I started working there, I met my boss, and my boss became my mentor when we were working together, and that was.
It just kind of happened that you guys worked more closely together. Was it a natural, organic relationship, or did you say, well, I like who you are. I definitely want to be your mentee. Could you help me out? I want to progress in this field. How did it go?
Well, yes and no. We didn't have a formal program, but the person who I'm referring to, her name is Dr. Kimberly Foxworth, who at that time was finishing her doctorate, and I was her third and last mentee. And she took a risk on me and decided to mentor me to teach me the fundamentals of human resources, people management, employee relations, performance management.
Wow. So it's a really beneficial mentor-mentee relationship, right?
Employment, hiring and layoffs, and I learned a lot by her leadership, and she had at that time a lot of experience. She now has even more experience.
Obviously.
So I was in a way an apprentice because I had no degree, no certification.
No formal, conventional education.
Yes.
So from that time, can you kind of tell us and share with us what is one of the key fundamentals that she taught you that stood out that you said, oh my God, I didn't even know that was even possible?
Sure. There are many lessons that I learned from her, but one of them was to always treat people with dignity and respect, to be professional, but also friendly, and to be yourself at the workplace, so people get to know you, not only the HR person who is implementing changes or ensuring that people are following the company policies, and that also we're adhering to local city or state or federal laws. But that they get to know you as a person. That way they can trust you and respect you. So that's one of the key lessons I learned from her. I also learned to work hard, to have integrity, to have ethics. And that's something that I had from my parents, from both of my parents. But through the relationship that I had as a mentee and mentor with Dr. Foxworth, that brought even more awareness to those things.
Wow. So it just, strengthened more.
Yes.
And reiterated that the integrity and the values that you hold should definitely stick out.
Yes.
Okay.
So we worked together for a number of years. She ended up leaving the organization before I did. But soon after that, I accepted another job.
Okay.
But when we were working together, also one of the things that I learned, going back to your question,
Sure.
one of the things that I learned from her as far as advice was to complete my education and to get a degree.
So essentially go back to school
Or
and
certification.
formally finish it
Right.
and get a diploma.
Yes, because she always said that if I wanted to move up in the corporate ladder or advance to other jobs, I needed to have those credentials in order to have.
And did you
Yes.
take that advice? Okay, so you went back to school, you finished, you got a diploma.
Yes. So what I ended up doing was I took another job as a HR associate with a clinical research company who is still here in San Diego and Sorrento Valley. And I was there for about 2 years. And during those 2 years, I completed a certification in human resources through UCSD.
Okay.
Which is not a 4-year degree, but a 2-year certification.
Okay.
But that
is this through the extensions?
Yes, it's through UCSD Extension, who has a great program for business classes, especially for the human resources program, which I took. And we still are connected through the alumni program, and there's monthly training sessions that
you attend?
that I attend to continue learning, as well as networking and stay
connected to
and up to
that
date
network system
to what's
of
happening in the field.
UCSD Extensions. Awesome.
Yes.
Great,
so I
great,
completed the program, and I was fortunate to have a tuition reimbursement program with that employer, who would pay the classes as I would complete them. So I will take a class, will pay it myself, take the class, and then I'll pass the class and get reimbursed, and then I will pay for the next class. So that's something that I would also encourage.
So you mentioned, let me stress this, tuition reimbursement. He was working and his employer paid for his classes after, depending on what grade you got, they would, there's a percentage that they pay, but they essentially pay for your education. So that's a really good way to do it.
Right.
So that's for our audience, just be wary that if you are inclined to take more classes, more coursework, there is that possibility once you are working, depending on your employer.
Correct. So most companies have some type of tuition assistance or tuition reimbursement program. Some companies may have a formal program in which you have to complete a form and bring your grades and then get reimbursed. And others may not. They may even just set aside a couple $100 or a couple $1,000 within their budget.
Right.
But we need to ask as employees, what type of benefits do we get? Is there a formal tuition reimbursement or assistance program, or is there a way that the company can pay for these classes that will benefit me, but also will benefit the company,
right,
which me getting additional skills.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that with us. I do have a couple questions about your human resources. What do you find enjoyable about working with as a human resource individual?
The contact with the people.
Okay.
That's number one. Being able to solve problems,
okay,
small and complex.
Okay.
Being able to gain
So essentially, problem with the personnel, is that what we're talking about?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
It could be interpersonal problems, but it could also be, in some cases, more severe cases of people being discriminated against or retaliated against, or working on investigations, trying to find out when something was done wrong. It could be by the employee, but also in some cases could be by the manager or by the company. So I see the HR professionals as a bridge between the employees.
So you would see human resources, the individuals, as a bridge between the employee and the company?
Yes.
Okay. So if employees have any issues, they can definitely reach out to their human resources without any hesitation, and you guys will definitely listen to their plea and take that into consideration. In my experience,
yes, but I know that it's just like any other profession. There's in some cases HR professionals that can be seen more pro-employer and not so much pro-employee, or that sometimes they may seem as too pro-employee and not so much pro-employer. So you always have to find
a
balance between those two things, because you cannot be either. Right.
Correct. You have to have a well-balanced behavior in the job place, because you are a bridge, and you kind of have to be not weighing to either side so much, but be more in the middle. Okay.
Yes.
Interesting.
For the most part, yes. In a way, yes. At the same time, you work for the organization, so you have to protect the organization's interests, assets, but also one of the organization's biggest and most important assets is the people. So that's how I see it. And during now more than 15 years, that's what I've been doing.
You've been doing it for about 15 or more than 15 years?
Yes, it was going to be 16 in April.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
okay.
Actually, yes.
All right.
Time
awesome.
flies.
Yeah, it goes by pretty fast.
Yes.
Let me ask you a question, and this is more so you can share with our audience. If a young individual has no idea, but they might be interested in pursuing human resources, how would you advise them what to look for, how to gauge, and what courses to possibly take to even consider or determine whether they're suited for a human resource position?
Sure. What I would recommend is to look into the different programs that schools offered, whether if it's San Diego State, UCSD, or any of the others, other universities that are around. Even also private universities too can offer good programs. As I said myself, for my experience, it was done in a non-traditional way, in which I went to UCSD extension for the HR program, and then I completed a four-year degree through University of Phoenix. I'm not saying that that's the way you should do it. I'm saying that there are many ways in which you can achieve your goals and professional and personal aspirations. As far as what to look for when it comes to HR is what I will say is look into what schools offer as far as programs, but also talk to professionals that you know or that you can reach out to in companies, medium-sized companies or large companies in the region. You can always ask them for a few minutes to interview them and ask them about their job, if they like it, if they don't like it, what they do like about their job. Because in some cases, people may have misconceptions about what the profession is, and they may think that, oh, well, for HR, all you do is hire and fire people.
Right. Yeah.
Which is not true. It is a component of the job. Yes, we do recruitment, we do onboarding, and also sometimes people leave on their own because they accept another job and they get a better opportunity, or because in some cases we do something wrong and then we get laid off, or because companies go through changes and then there's reductions in staffing.
Right.
So
now that you kind of bring that up,
but what is in between, was what most people miss, which is professional interactions with all of the employees, their personal growth as well, training, leadership development, coaching, career path planning, engagement, recognition. There's like many things within the field that you can do. You can also focus on benefits administration, or on training and leadership development. So there's many areas within the human resources field that one can be, or you can be a generalist in which you do a lot of
a little bit of
everything, or a lot of everything in some cases, depending on the company.
So let me ask you a question for you as a human resources individual. What has been the hardest part of the job so far? I mean, obviously you mentioned that there's probably layoffs or hire and fire type of scenario, but for you, what has been one of the toughest parts of being a human resources individual?
Yes, so one of the most difficult things that I have dealt with in my career life was, or has been, I would say yes, doing reductions in staffing when companies, not so much currently, but at some point, as you may remember, in 2008 and 9, there was a recession, and
because of the housing crisis.
Because of the housing crisis, so many companies reduce their staffing, and when we have to do those adjustments, it's really hard because you don't have a reason for to give to the person that they're losing a job. Is simply a matter of numbers. Right. So that's the hardest part. Right. When it's a situation in which you have a way to explain why things happen and tell the person this policy was not followed, or there was this error, or when there's an explanation.
Right.
The person may not like it, but they understand why
the decision
was made. Okay. However, when it's a layoff, you cannot really explain it other than it's just a way in which we want to reduce numbers.
And that's the way the company decided to go. Okay.
Yes. So that's the most difficult part. other than that, I think it's a great profession.
Okay, great. You mentioned that you're networking and that individuals, if they're interested in finding out more about the position, should connect with other individuals that are in the same profession. Well, I just want to say and acknowledge you because we actually met via LinkedIn.
Correct.
And if my audience knows, I've stressed the use and the benefit of LinkedIn and how to connect with individuals. And this is a relationship that essentially grew out of a LinkedIn connection.
Correct.
Where I reached out to you, you connected with me, you accepted my invitation. So we definitely connect in real life. So this is what LinkedIn can do. It is a social media, but it could be so much more. It's a very beneficial tool. So I encourage all of you once again to create a LinkedIn account and definitely develop it. So
yes, so definitely it's important to network. Whether if it's in person, that's probably the best way.
Right.
Going to events, but also through social media. I find LinkedIn to be a really powerful tool that anyone can use because it's free. Or if you get a subscription to the premium membership, you can also get additional resources, but it's not necessary. You can also do a free account.
right.
And it's a good way to connect with people within your field of studies or your profession or within your community, as well as things that you may like to do as a volunteer. If you like to volunteer helping homeless individuals, you can find a network or a group within LinkedIn that does that. Or if you are interested in helping youth with development or personal development,
you can definitely find
that
tools
as well.
there or groups that definitely do that. It's
Yes.
funny that you mentioned community service. You are a big brother, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So
And you're also a Rotarian.
Yes.
Have you always been involved in community service groups similar to those? Or when did it start? And why did it start?
So, I'm a volunteer. I'm involved with currently 3 organizations. One is Big Brothers Big Sisters of San Diego County. The other one is Rotary International through Rotary Club of Chula Vista, East Lake. And I'm also involved with YMCA of San Diego County.
Okay.
I started my employment with the YMCA in 2010.
So you worked for the YMCA?
I worked for the Y. So when I left the job that I had at Sorrento Valley, I actually...
So you worked at the executive offices of the YMCA in San Diego County?
I worked at the YMCA of San Diego County, and I did work for the corporate office of the San Diego County YMCA's.
Okay.
But I started in the South Bay, actually.
Oh, okay.
I took a job at the South Bay Family YMCA here in Chula Vista.
Right.
And that was in 2010. And at that time, I was in the middle of completing my degree through University of Phoenix. So I accepted a job at the YMCA, the local Y, and I finished my degree there. And that job gave me a lot of more knowledge and experience, and also
they had personal development courses. They helped you.
Yes.
They gave you information sessions. They probably gave you statistics as to what type of families were coming in, why they were coming in. Essentially, is that kind of what they did? Okay.
Yes. There's the YMCA definitely is a great organization. It's known in the entire world, pretty much, is one of the brands that is well recognized, not only in the United States but also in other countries.
Okay.
So I was really happy and proud to be part of the Y. But I through my work there, I also learned about volunteerism, about how we can volunteer. Through my family, I definitely learned about giving back and about helping others, but about being a volunteer, not so much in a formal way, per se.
So the YMCA strengthened that volunteering effort in you.
So through the why I was more exposed to the type of volunteer opportunities that are available within the community, I learned about organization management, how each Y has a YMCA, a Y board of directors. And
so each YMCA club or office branch has their own board of directors that is within that community that they belong to. Correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So when I was working at the South Bay Family YMCA, I met board members there through my work. And one of them, who's part of the community, whose name is Lourdes Valdez.
Lourdes Valdez.
Yes,
Okay, all right.
She invited me to join Rotary, and at that time, I was interested, but there were other individuals in the organization that were part of another Rotary club. So at that time, I was not able to join through my employers.
Okay.
I ended up just waiting, and a few years later, in 2014, I was fortunate to get the authorization to join Rotary through my employer's sponsorship.
So your employer sponsored a club.
Right.
Okay.
Membership for me to join.
Okay, awesome.
So I joined the Rotary Club of Chula Vista Sunset, which is now the Rotary Club of Chula Vista Eastlake.
Okay.
And I joined. I attended a few meetings, and then I was invited to become a member. One of the distinctions about being a Rotarian is that you join by invitation. It's not only by saying or indicating that you want to become a member, you have to be invited.
You have to be invited to be part of that pack.
Yes.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yes.
Really?
So,
wow.
it definitely...
How did you feel when they made that invitation, or they extended the invitation to you?
I felt really honored about it, actually, because...
Were you expecting it?
Yes, I was expecting it, but even if you expect it, it still feels good to be...
But you didn't know when it was going to happen.
Yes.
You were thinking, okay, maybe if I keep on coming back, they'll eventually ask me to be a member.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So one of the memories from growing up that my mom tells me is that she used to work at a bookstore back in Tijuana, and she used to see Rotary in the magazines or newspapers. So when I told my mom that I was invited to join Rotary, she said, "Oh, that's a big honor." So even that's something that I always remember, because it was
that your mom knew what it was, and it was a big honor.
Mom and my dad knew what it was.
Wow!
So that was something significant, and I joined, became a member. When you become a member of the club, you are inducted. By the way, what Rotary is a service organization, leadership organization, formed by volunteers. We get together to do community work through grants that are most of the time supporting local projects as well as international projects. But there's a great focus on community building and community support. I joined, and I started as a member and our club has less than 20 members.
Right.
So there's definitely a lot of opportunities to serve in any capacity, whether if it's in public relations, social media, helping with the meeting setup, helping ordering dinner for the club, or helping with the program, or inviting, I guess.
So there's so many different functions that you can fulfill. What is one of the most memorable things that you have done with the Rotary as a community service aspect that stands out in your mind?
Correct. So when I joined, I was a member, and then I got involved into different committees and responsibilities, and I was helping with social media and public relations during my first year. A few years later, well, actually probably the second year, we had the opportunity to visit senior center in Tecate that the club has had supported in the past, and what we saw there was probably between 40 and 50 seniors, mostly, if not all, men, who were very low income and in very difficult conditions. Pretty much most of them had been abandoned there.
Yes. And you guys were there as a club to help them out for that day, to spend the day with them, talk to them.
So you
guys brought something.
We brought food. We brought money, cash donations, as well as we help with repairs in their facilities.
Okay.
So we have done a few.
So it's essentially a full day of service.
Yes.
From top to bottom, you go there, spend the day with them, have a conversation with the individuals, bring stuff to them, help them do repairs around the place. Okay, yes. That's pretty cool.
So that's one of the things that I have enjoyed the most. One year around my birthday, I decided to do a giving project. So I collected care packages for the seniors, and what I did is just ask my friends to
donate whatever they could,
put them together, and we put together probably 50 bags of
15 or 50?
50.
50. Okay, wow.
50 bags
it's a good
of
50 size.
Personal care packages with hygiene products.
Right. Toiletries, razor blade, maybe
carts to play, hats, because all guys wearing hats, right? So things like that, and we put them in gift baskets. So that was actually pretty very good idea, and they liked it. And we had a visit, and we issue those gift bags to them, and then we did a different visit, bringing blankets as well.
Okay.
That I help to
collect and to make sure that they got down there and distributed to the individuals.
And I went on that visit too. So when we give, I think that it's a feeling that is like, there's nothing like it.
It's a rewarding feeling, right?
Yes.
Wow.
Giving back is just a way to be thankful for what we have. Doesn't matter if it's something small or something big, whatever is within our means. It's always important to give back. So I always try to do that.
That's awesome. And now, I know that you're the president-elect for the Rotary Club. Is that something that can we disclose that? Or?
Yeah. So
how does that make you feel?
Nervous.
Nervous. Okay, it's a big responsibility,
It's a big
task.
responsibility. I'm
Okay.
excited, but I'm also nervous about the role.
Okay.
Rotary, as I said, is a service organization, but it's
Right.
also a leadership organization.
Of course.
In which you receive training and preparation to be service to the community.
Right.
And through that, you receive training about so many things, like public speaking, about community projects, about how to submit grants and how to use those resources
So
to
pretty
fund
much
projects.
a business CEO essentially, because you need to be on top of everything, at least in an overview time frame.
Yeah, in a way, yeah.
Right,
The
right.
president of the club definitely does a lot of work that revolves around supporting the club in any capacity, not only running the meetings, but also running a budget for the club and ensuring that the member is well positioned to do a full year of community
So
projects.
you do a full year
Yes,
of
so
projects.
the year starts in July
Uh-huh.
and it ends in June.
Okay.
So our current president is Anthony
Right.
Millikan,
Right.
who is doing a fantastic job as president, and he is started in July and he's going to end in June.
Okay.
So-
So now you're the president-elect.
Yes.
How is that process? How does that happen? Do you get put into a hat with everybody else in there and they get pulled from the membership? Or do you actually get tapped on the shoulder and said, hey, Sam, do you want to be president next year? How does it work?
Yes, so each club has their own way of selecting a president.
Yeah.
Some clubs that are large, they may have a formal process in which
Formal elections.
a person can apply or submit an interest form to become president. In our case, what at least in my case, what happened is that I was voted actually to be.
Oh, you were voted.
Yeah,
oh, that's
so-
even a greater honor because your fellow Rotarians, they felt that you were capable enough to take the challenge on, right?
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that puts a little more stress on you.
Yeah. So it's technically a 4-year commitment.
Okay.
In which I was voted to be president last year, actually.
Oh.
So the first year counts as being president nominee. So during the time you're president nominee, you can also serve as in another capacity. So I was the nominee and secretary for the club.
Okay.
And this year I am serving as member and also as president-elect. So during this year, I shadow the president.
Okay.
And I also attend leadership development classes during the year in different instances. At least I think it's 4 or 5, either half day or full weekends that we do training. And then the following year, that's when you are
The president.
the president of the club, the current president. But then it doesn't end. It does not end there. Once you are completed or done with your
that
term,
year, right.
you are past president. So what the past president does, in this case, our current past president, her name is Sabrina Monaco, who also did a wonderful job as president and as in a way a mentor to me. When she was president, I was her secretary. So we volunteered together during that year.
Okay.
And there's a treasurer, but I've never wanted to be treasurer because I'm not that great with
the money, finances.
with the finances.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Right. Collecting
I prefer
it, right?
to have someone else doing
Okay.
that.
All right.
So I did that last year. So what the point I was trying to make is, when you are past president, you are Your role is to provide
support
for the current president, as well as whoever else is on the pipeline.
Right.
So
you're more of a mentor role at that point. So that's your year.
Yeah.
So that finishes off your 4th year.
Yeah,
you're more of a mentor position.
4 years.
Awesome.
So I find it to be a really great model. Even I think organizations, companies should do that, or some type of similar model, because I think continuity is important, and to have the opportunity to see someone like me become a member and then be involved in some committees and show interest and a willingness to volunteer and give back, and then be voted by your own peers to be president, I think is a great honor.
Okay. And
then do it, and also once you're done being president, being past president, and provide support, I think is
so the Rotary has definitely instilled in you a leadership personality. They've actually helped you develop more of a leadership role, correct?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
I believe so. I think it has increased my potential.
Okay.
As a young student and as a student, I've always excelled in academics, but I had some times in my life where I was not so focused, especially during my early 20s when I didn't go straight into school.
Mm-hmm. But you found your path.
But I found my path, and that is something that is important for anyone to know, that is never late to do what you want to do in life.
It's never too late to do what you want to do in life.
Correct.
Okay, that's great advice.
Sometimes you may say, oh, well, maybe I'm just too old to go to school, my career. But in reality the reality is that we can do whatever we want to do.
Whatever you think of, you can definitely achieve it if you put the effort and the work ethic into it. That's awesome. Mm-hmm. Great.
Yes.
So let me dig a little more, and let's divert over, because I'm really interested in the Big Brother situation that you have at this moment.
Yes.
How did you get started?
So the Big Brothers Big Sisters involvement that I have was actually more by coincidence than Rorty or the Y or anything else that I've done.
More by coincidence?
Yes, it was more by coincidence, because I went to a film festival in San Diego.
Any particular film festival?
I went to the San Diego Latino Film Festival.
Okay, San Diego Latino Film Festival.
And at that time, I was there, and I saw an information booth from Big Brothers Big Sisters.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And that year, I happened to have a season or a festival pass, so I was there a lot.
Right. So you kept on seeing this booth.
Yes. So I was there a lot, and I kept seeing the same booth, and they were extremely friendly, and they wanted me to join as a volunteer.
Okay.
So I gave them my information, but as you know, sometimes you just give your information as a
courtesy, right?
At a booth. And
that's how you essentially gave it to them. Like, okay, I'm going to give you my information, but I'm going to go straight to the movie.
Right. So I ended up giving my information, but they contacted me right away, and they were really engaging, and they recruited me as a volunteer. So I, after a few attempts, because I was not able to join the volunteer information session, I ended up going. And when I went, I really liked the concept of being a big brother or a big sister to youth in the region, ages 7 to 17, and have a one-on-one mentorship relationship with that individual.
How long has that relationship been going on?
For me, it has been now more than 2 years.
With the same young child?
With the same young child, little brother, who also happens to have a twin brother, who is in the program as well.
So you only get to have one at a time, or did they give you the option of having both of them with
It's
you?
only one.
One, so it's a one-on-one connection.
One-on-one, yes.
Okay, so that you spend quality time with just one individual.
Yes.
Okay, great.
I've met the older brother, and I met older siblings as well that they have.
But your real connection is more with one individual. Okay.
Yeah. So my little brother and I have been a match, which is how the program refers the pair for more than 2 years. The commitment to be a big brother or big sister is to be at least 18 years old and to pass a background check and an interview in which they ask you all kinds of questions about your life and background. And
so they pretty much want to know who you are and if you're a well-standing person in society, so that you can definitely mentor a younger individual and help them out with any questions that they might have.
Correct.
That's interesting.
So they do the program, the enrollment and background check, and after that, the organization does a really good job matching you based on your interest and background with a little one that has similar traits or aspirations.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
cool.
I was matched with my little brother, and we have done a lot of activities together. From going to the thing too is that it's not academic.
It's not academic whatsoever.
It's recreational.
Okay.
So we have gone to the movies. We've gone to ride go-karts. We've gone to the YMCA to work out. To take. We did a class there, fitness class. We did
I think you went to a baseball game at one point, right?
We've gone to the stadium. We've done barbecues. We've been to do ice skating. So many things that are purely recreational, with the purpose of enhancing the little brothers or little sisters' lives and to give them experiences that perhaps they may not get at home. And it's definitely a very meaningful experience to be big brother or big sister.
So it's a very meaningful experience. Has there been... Is it more rewarding for you than to the young child, or is it's a win-win for both?
I think it is a win-win for both.
Okay.
And
what have you learned out of this experience yourself that you thought you'd never learn?
What I have learned about myself?
Yeah.
Possibly one of the greatest lessons that I learned from being a big brother is that even when I think I'm not doing the best, that I'm not perfect, that I have shortcomings, that even in that light that I can see myself, that there's someone else who sees me as a role model or or someone.
So even though you criticize yourself, from what I understand, another young individual, excuse me, feels that you are a role model and that you have values that you can offer and they can mimic. That's interesting.
And that's something that is eye-opening not only for me but for anyone who has done the program, is that definitely having a mentorship relationship with a young person gives you perspective as to, I may have had a bad day at work or at home, or I'm not feeling too well, but when someone who is not your relative, is someone purely through Big Brothers Big Sisters program is connected to you, they look up to you. So that's something that gives you motivation to continue just doing the best you can.
Okay, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. I do have a couple more questions.
Sure.
This is a fun one.
Okay.
If you could have a superpower, any superpower, or do you have a superpower, what would it be? And why?
Okay. I do have a superpower.
Okay, what is it?
Which is I do I'm able to read people.
You're able to read people?
Not read people, but I know that when if I meet a person, that if I'm gonna have a connection with them,
Really?
like with you, like with this interview, or in other cases, it's easy for me to just, as soon as I meet people, I'm able to I don't know, determine or
gauge the situation of how the
yeah.
relationship
Sure.
is going to turn out.
So that's
pretty cool.
superpower, and it helps in HR.
Okay, it helps in HR. Obviously, you're in HR, so you've kind of developed that that talent. Okay, awesome, great. So reading people is something that you have a power in.
Yeah, I think that's a superpower.
Okay.
But if I could have another one,
Yeah.
I will definitely will give. I don't know. I think it will be give all people a sense of humor. I think.
Okay, give all people a sense of humor,
Because
so they take life a little lighter.
Because not everybody has it. So it's important to make fun of ourselves, to make fun of others kindly. I'm not supporting bullying or in any way.
Yeah.
I think that's a serious.
And you said make fun of ourselves in a kind manner.
Yeah, but I think sometimes if we take ourselves too seriously, just as life is harder, and we can laugh about our own
inequities.
Sometimes it's just life is better, more enjoyable.
Okay. Great.
Something else too that I would definitely do is I don't know, probably ensure that nobody's hungry.
Ensure that nobody's hungry. Okay, the power to ensure that nobody's hungry. That's a really good one.
I think.
Yes.
Yeah. Especially for kids, like in school, I think when children are not well fed, it's just
it's harder to learn.
Hard to learn, detrimental, and even for adults too. When you see homeless people or individuals who don't have access to food, I think that's very sad. So
you focus on eating versus on focusing on the task at hand.
Right. Okay. So I think those are things that sometimes we take for granted, and it's so it's out there.
Right. Yeah, it's very prevalent nowadays.
It's very prevalent. It's extremely sad, and we should definitely do more about ensuring people are well fed and that nobody's hungry.
Okay. Cool. Great. The next question is, what is your definition of success?
For me, the definition of success is happiness. I think being happy.
Everybody should be happy.
Yes, I think happiness is success. You can have a career, you can have a home, you can have
all the money in the world.
All the money, friends. But I think being happy with yourself, accepting yourself and forgiving yourself when you make mistakes, I think is what success is. It's important to achieve things in life, but I think it's also important to be kind to yourself first. Okay. So that's for me what success is.
That's a great response. Thank you so much. One final question.
Sure.
Let's say you know, right now, Sam, at this moment, you built the time machine and you can just get in it. And it takes you back to little Sammy that is 10 years old. What would you tell little 10-year-old Sammy?
I would say,
if you could share with him one piece of advice, what would it be?
Be yourself.
Be yourself. Okay.
Always be yourself.
Always be yourself.
I think it's important to do that. In many occasions in life, we go through situations in which we may think, oh, if I am the way I am always, people are not going to accept me or they're going to criticize me. But the reality is that it's important to be truthful and to be honest about who we are, and people learn to appreciate that honesty. So it's important to always be yourself. So if I could be there, I will tell to myself, always be yourself. And I think that's something that everyone should do.
That's awesome. Well, this concludes our interview. Thank you so much, Sam. Thank you for being here. Thank you for all our viewers and our audience for being part and joining Success Innovation. Remember, the fee is if you find any episode, every single episode of value, recommend one person so that our community keeps on growing. Thank you so much for watching another wonderful episode of Success Innovation. My name is Lázaro Herrera, the founder of Success Innovation. I'll see you next time. Thank you. If you're hearing this, congratulations. You've come to the end of another wonderful Success Innovation episode. Thank you. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel as well as the podcast audio version. I'll see you next time. Thank you.